Hey there, kiddos, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank. I'm that you are having a great day, and in today's video, I'm going to be sitting back in my very squeaky chair, relaxing and having a little conversation with all of you guys about the overall state of the TCG market and the various card games found within, because I realized the other day it's actually been some time now since I've done an overview on the various card games out there and talked about the box prices and what I think about each card game in turn, especially compared to one another. So I've got myself a little handy note sheet with a bunch of prices listed. Got some thoughts in my head for the various card games, and I've got a bottle of water because I anticipate this one lasting a bit longer than my usual videos, but hopefully not too long, honestly. How long can one video possibly be? But before we begin, I want to make one thing very clear. This is not a financial analysis video. That's not really what I do here on the channel. I do talk about the TCG market. I do buy and sell into the TCG market, but this is not a video where I'm telling you what the best purchase is, what you should buy, what you should sell, and all that jazz. This is just me talking about the overall, my opinion, health of the various card games, or not health of the various card games, just so we're clear. So with that stipulation out of the way, let's begin with the oldest and the largest card game, I think, Magic the Gathering, which has its newest set, or at least the most recent set to launch, Secrets of Strixhaven, at roughly $120 a playbox as of the recording of this video, with a $440 price tag on collector booster boxes. And honestly, that's pretty great, especially in comparison to a lot of other collector booster boxes over the last 6 months, especially as they've launched. I mean, look what happened to Spider-Man, look at what happened to Avatar, TMNT. A $440 price tag out the gate for a collector box is honestly pretty great, if we're being sincere with each other here. As for a lot of the cards in the set, while there is some cool stuff, the new dragons are really cool. In particular, the one blue Emeritus card that had a lot of hype from spoiler season is still a pretty desirable card, but a lot of the base set cards are around the $20 to $30 range at maximum. Most of the value of the set, or I should say the higher end value, is all in the new Mystical Archives subset, which is something that returned from the previous Strixhaven set. And there are some extremely valuable cards in that subset, but it's all in the Japanese language Silver Scroll, I think they're calling it, card gallery. So while there is cool stuff in the set, it's all tied up in a small nest egg of cards for the most part. There's not a lot of cool value you can pull from a play booster, for instance, just so we're clear. Overall, I think Secrets of Strixhaven was received quite well, honestly. I know that I'm a pessimist about that set, mostly because I'm not a fan of Strixhaven. I don't like Strixhaven as a set. As a fan of Magic the Gathering, I'm not a fan of Strixhaven. But as a store, it's undeniable that the set has performed very well and has a lot of, maybe not diehard fans, but a lot of people who are super excited to get more of it. So there's that. Going back a bit, let's talk about TMNT and Lorwyn Eclipsed. TMNT boxes are at just $100 flat for the play boosters, up and down, a few dollars here or there. $400 collector boosters, which obviously is not as high as Secrets of Strixhaven, but as a Universes Beyond product, I think there's a bit of expectation from Wizards of the Coast that these should have a higher price tag, or at the very least, that's kind of what they're hoping for. Universes Beyond is supposed to be what brings more people into the game, and therefore should be the product line that Wizards is hoping succeeds the most. Or at least that's the impression I get whenever I hear them talking about the Universes Beyond sets. It's just, the impression I receive. Honestly, though, $100 a box, $400 a collector box, that's not terrible. It really isn't. It's I know that a lot of people are of the opinion that TMNT is as bad as Spider-Man. It's as bad as Spider-Man, and that it's a dump set and it's all going to zero, but $400 collector box is not a failure of a set. Just so we're clear, that is not a failure of a set. A $100 booster box is not a failure of a set. Or a play booster box, whatever. You guys get what I'm saying. And honestly, there's some cool value in the set too. Yeah, there's the what are they called, shatter foils or whatever that you can get out of the collector boosters, but there's also the gold signature TMNT cards that are all super expensive. I think the cheapest one's like $3,000 or $2,000 or something like that. They're all crazy expensive. So there's definitely value there, and there's definitely collectability there. And while the set itself may not have had the shining accolades that WotC was hoping it would have out the gate, it's definitely not like collapsed to zero, and it's definitely not pulled a Spider-Man where collector boosters started at $900 out the gate and then went down to like $300. So there's that. It's pretty good, all things considered, if we're being honest with one another. And I like to think that I'm being honest with you guys most of the time. Lorwyn Eclipse, moving on, also $100 for a play booster, but $360 for a collector booster at the moment, which is, I think that one surprises me more, because Lorwyn Eclipse strikes me as a set that was very well received at release. It had a lot of fans, and a lot of people super excited to get a hold of the, I think it also had like the shatter foil treatment for its cards, the weird foiling. You guys know what I'm talking about. The anime alt art cards that had the nice super shiny foiling attached to them. And there's a lot of cards in the set that are super desirable, both at the high end and at the low end. There's a lot of cheap staples. There's a lot of high-end collectible cards that all have at least some kind of collectability to them. Although I will say that unlike the TMNT set and unlike the Secrets of Strixhaven set, I don't think there's anything, very loud car passing by, I don't think there's anything in Lorwyn Eclipse that breaks $1,000 as a price tag. So there's that to consider, obviously, when it comes to the price is sealed, because obviously the price of singles inside the set will reflect even the price of the sealed product. So if there's less demand for the singles, there's less demand for the sealed, and as a result. But overall, it still looks like a pretty solid set, and it does still have a lot of fans, a lot of people who are super excited about it, and who obviously want more of it. Because Lorwyn Eclipse, at the very least, when Lorwyn Eclipse first released, it was the hardest thing for me to find any of. People were struggling to get a hold of it for a bit. Obviously, that's changed now. There's more of it out there. I don't know if that's because there was a huge pile that dumped on the market or anything. I just think that interest has moved on elsewhere, is what I honestly think happened. To wrap things up for Magic the Gathering and its corner of this video, let's talk about the Marvel Superhero set, which is due soon. Boy, howdy, is there a lot of excitement over this set, a lot of anticipation for this set. As of the recording of this video, collector boosters are pre-selling at $470. Obviously, that is not Final Fantasy or Lord of the Rings levels of crazy, but it is pretty high, especially for a Universes Beyond set, especially for the follow-up set to a set that a lot of people consider to be a failure. And that reflects in how a lot of stores are approaching this. I've heard a lot of talk online. I've talked to a lot of people who own stores online, locally, etc., who have been very blunt about their lack of belief in this set, their lack of faith in its performance, if only because of its tie-in status to Spider-Man as a Marvel set. However, there's also an equal, if not greater, amount of people online who are super excited about this set, super anticipating it. And I think that's where the $470 price tag comes from, especially since it does look like there's going to be a lot of Marvel sets going forward with a lot of synergy with one another, and I think it would be a fool's choice to ignore them, especially since it looks like this is going to be the new standard, you know. Wizards releasing a bunch of sets directly into standard, I should say. Crazy stuff. And it looks like, 5 or 6 of them are going to be Marvel sets at the very least in the near future. It's probably crazy. How many Infinity Stones are there? Like 5 or 6? Something like that? I don't watch the MCU or read enough comics. I think there were 6. Doesn't matter. At least 6 Marvel sets total, counting the Spider-Man one. That's a lot of sets dedicated to one theme. Just so we're clear. But it does have people looking backwards at Spider-Man and wondering if it's going to go up. If the Marvel superhero set appreciates well, will Spider-Man climb to reflect that? Or will it just kind of be left in the dust despite the success of its Marvel brethren. Who knows? I'm not going to make any guesses on it. But that does wrap up the Magic section of this video. Let's move on to Pokemon. With its newest set, Chaos Rising. Great pre-release. I had a lot of fun there, by the way. Just so we're clear, I do still attend every Pokemon pre-release that I can. I have a lot of fun. I still think Pokemon pre-release is perhaps the best pre-release experience I get out of any of the card game experience pre-releases I attend. It's a lot of fun. But anyway, Chaos Rising, out the gate, $230 a box, which is obviously not insane psycho mode money, but it's still $230 a box, which, in case you guys aren't aware, is still above MSRP, which means despite what some people seem to be thinking about online, this is definitely not a failure of a set. And yeah, there are a lot of people online talking about this set and comparing it to like stuff like Perfect Order and Journey Together, and saying that it's just a dud set and a lot of cool stuff there. You know, it's got the Greninja, the $500 Mega Greninja, but there's a lot of people online talking about the set like it's a bad thing or nobody wants it. And I've got to say, I've got to be honest, if nobody wanted it, it wouldn't be $230 out the gate. It wouldn't be over MSRP with a lot of interest in it. A lot of cool illustration rares too. And just so we're clear, you know, I'm not going to talk about them too much, Perfect Order or Journey Together. But honestly, are those doing that bad? Go look at the price tags of either of those sets and tell me that they're failing as a product. The answer is they aren't. They're doing pretty fine because we are still in Pokemon's super hype cycle right now. Speaking of Perfect Order, let's talk about Ascended Heroes. That's so rude of me. Ascended Heroes is still nuclear, but there's two cards in particular I just want to mention briefly. That is, of course, the Pikachu EX and the Mega Gengar EX. And the last I checked, they both have asking price tags of $1,400 on TCG Player and more in other places. And let me just say, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that. This is not financial advice. But I would not spend $1,400 on ultra-modern Pokemon cards. It's just my opinion. You know, I would not buy those. It's crazy. There are so many cool, genuinely rare, old vintage Pokemon. I was just talking about this the other day in another video. There's so much cool stuff out there that's way cheaper, way more affordable, and way rarer. That is just genuinely cool. And I can't... I understand why it's happening. A hype cycle. People are excited about the new thing. They want to get it before it goes up even further. But $1,400, guys. It's nuts. Is that the craziest example of recent Pokemon things? No, I don't think it is. There's some crazy stuff people spend a lot of money on in Pokemon recently, but I don't know. There was something about seeing two cards in a set with that price tag attached to them that just made me go, ooh. Ugh. The game, obviously, we're going to keep the Pokemon talk brief because you guys know the game is still in high demand. There's still a lot of hype around it. There's still a lot of money being tossed at it. It's not easy to get a hold of product, regardless of your status as a store, a buyer, a flipper, a collector, investor, whatever. Getting a hold of a reasonable amount of Pokemon is still quite the challenge. And of course, that's part of why some of these prices are as inflated as they are, if I'm being honest, is just the difficulty of getting hold of anything for the modern side of things. So there's not much more to add to Pokemon besides the fact that it's still super exciting, super feverish, I would say. There's a lot of people out there who just want more of it, and they're going to do whatever they can to get more of it, just so we're clear. Let's move on to Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's kind of crazy to think that, 5 months ago, there were people, including myself, genuinely believing that Yu-Gi-Oh! Was going to turn all the way around this year with the over-rush rares or extended art rares or over-frames, whatever they're calling them in English. They're over-rush rares to me. You know, there was a real chance of Yu-Gi-Oh! Flipping around, especially with the current state of the TCG market. A lot of investor bro money being tossed at basically every TCG out there. There was a real chance of Yu-Gi-Oh! Flipping its tune and becoming another super hype product where all the booster boxes go to $300. Obviously, that did not happen. Rarity Collection 5, just so we're clear, is still an amazing set. It's still holding strong, especially its Overrush rares. There's some really cool ones there. I think the best one is, in my opinion, the Red Eyes Dark Black Dragoon or whatever. It's Starlight Rare, Overrush Rare version. The Overrush Rare cards for the set are super rare. You get them like one every 2 boxes. You get like one Starlight Rare, Overrush Rare, a case or every 2 cases. It's like genuinely rare to get this stuff. So the prices for the sealed is holding up well. The prices of the singled is holding up well. Losing my voice. Give me a second. I'm going to chug some water. Gotta love water. I'm not addicted to water, by the way. Haven't made that joke in a bit. So the sealed and singles are both holding up really well for that set. And it's not just that. That's not the only set that's doing good. Blazing Dominion is not collapsing. It's not amazing. It's not $130 like Rarity 5 is. But it's not collapsing like a lot of other Yu-Gi-Oh sets from its recent brethren are. That was a weird sentence. I apologize. It's not collapsing like a lot of other Yu-Gi-Oh sets have been. That's what I meant to say. I don't know why I said it the way I said it. Your uncle's very good with words. Me smart. Me strong. Me graduated high school. But besides that, besides the overall not failure of recent sets, sure, Yu-Gi-Oh has not flipped around. It has not turned around. It has not become another super investor bro card game. However, that could still change in the near future. Magnificent Monsters is on the horizon, and with it comes serialized Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and boy, oh boy, do serialized cards have a chance, just like Overrush Rares had a chance to drive a lot of the investor bro, the sneaker bro, poke bro guys into the card game. And of course, I'm worried about what would happen to Yu-Gi-Oh as a whole if that were to occur. But on the flip side, if Yu-Gi-Oh is single-handedly propped up by a bunch of investor bros buying duelists from the deep, you know, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Obviously, the TCG, I think, keep in mind, I do not play the modern TCG for Yu-Gi-Oh! I only play old formats like Edison and Goat, but I still think it's a very fun game. I do genuinely think Yu-Gi-Oh! is a fun game with a lot of cool collectible cards out there, even in the newer sets, okay? Just so we're clear, I do still like it a lot. And I don't think it would be a terrible thing if people started buying it just to speculate on it. I do think it would be unfortunate if it shot up from its current price tags to $400, $300, whatever a box. That would be awful. But I don't think it would be a terrible thing to have genuine interest in the game. Genuine interest being loose here. I understand how it is with Sneaker Bros. They're only financially invested. They're not actually interested in the game. But financial interest in the game does bring with it a wide set of eyes, I should say. It brings attention to the card game. It gets people thinking, gets people talking, and it does, in the case of Pokemon, appear to get more people interested in playing the game, too. As just casual observation from someone who does not have eyes everywhere, I have noticed that since the new hype cycle started, more people have been playing Pokemon locally. Could have just been a coincidence, I'm sure. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a card game that I think still has a lot of potential. And serialized cards could bring a lot of attention, money, and potentially new players to the game. That's all I'm saying. Moving on to Lorcana. Not much to say about Lorcana. The Wilds Unknown is looking good. 110 a box with a lot of really cool cards inside. Both cheap for decks, and the expensive goodies. The enchanted cards, there's a lot of really cool ones, but I've already set my eyes on the Goliath from a few sets back. I've told myself if there's a Lorcana card I'm going to buy on the market, it's going to be that Goliath card. So yeah, there's some cool stuff in Wilds Unknown, but I've told myself, nope, just one Lorcana card, that's just the one. But there is some cool stuff there, and I've been hearing more and more positivity for Lorcana in the local area. More people are picking it up. More people are trying it out. And I think the Wilds Unknown, there was an event not too long ago, I think it was Wilds Unknown. Maybe it was for the previous set. You know, I'm not paying as close of attention as I could be. You know, it's on me. I'm an old man. Um, but there was a lot of excitement for that event at one of the local card stores that doesn't usually host a whole lot of TCG events. They hold one or two events a month because they just are super focused on other things. And they held like a pretty large sized Lorcana event. So there was that I just, casually noticed there's more Lorcana being discussed locally. And there does seem to be a lot of positivity for it online with, again, a lot of excitement for the new set. It's cards and it's it's really cool enchantments. So there's that. Flesh and Blood, also not much to say here. Omens of the Third Age is on the horizon. The pre-release is at the end of this month, so like a week or two from now. End of this month, start of next month. Obviously, I'm going to attend Omens of the Third Age pre-release. I love Flesh and Blood. I love playing that game. I don't have a whole lot of time to play it, and I'm not that good at it. But I do like the game a lot. Let it never be said that you have to be good at something to enjoy it, okay? Because I am dog shit at Flesh and Blood. I'm awful. Ask anybody I play with. I'm like the worst player around. But it's such a fun game. And it really is just a fun game. But from a financial side, from a sales side, Compendium of Wraith continues to be like the hottest seller for singles out of that set. I've got a few orders of that every day, basically. And I struggle to have more than one Compendium of Wraith box on the wall. I get it filled up quite often. And then just more and more of it vanish, especially for the rares and majestics. Like, people really want those cards. Something I've noticed with Compendium of Wraith is that the box prices are trending downwards. I think a booster box right now is like $80, $88, $90, something like that. So they're under $100 for a booster box, right? But the singles, especially the more high-end singles, those are the extended arts and stuff. Those are trending upwards. So the boxes are going down, but the singles inside the boxes are going up. And I don't know if you guys know, but that usually means that something's fucky somewhere. If the stuff inside the boxes keep going up while the boxes themselves are going down, there's a mismatch somewhere along that line. And sooner or later, they're going to have to hit and something's going to have to give. Sooner or later. So I don't know if maybe the singles inside are overpriced or if the boxes are underpriced, but one of those probably has to be true in my opinion, because if you look at a lot of the charts for a lot of the higher end singles, obviously there's a lot of upward trend, which I think is pretty interesting. Not all of them, just so we're clear, but a lot of them, One Piece card game. You know what? I'm not talking about One Piece in this video. Still crazy in demand. Still a lot of Sneaker Bro, Poke Bro excitement about it. But I decided, just looking at these numbers, I have decided that I'm not talking about One Piece in this video. I can save that for its own video. Let's move on to Gundam. New type rising boxes for Gundam is more exciting for me than One Piece, at least. New type rising boxes, the first set of the Gundam TCG. $400 a box. That's crazy. It's nuts, because just a few months ago I was actually buying them to crack and I was getting them for like $150. That's crazy, and that's good. That means there's a lot of excitement, investment, and eyes and desire for the first booster box of a relatively new game that may or may not be around. You guys know how it is with Bandai Namco. But fingers crossed, that's a good thing, I think. Obviously, unaffordable boxes aren't a good thing, but it does mean that there's some interest, desire, and demand for the new stuff, even an entirely new card game. And good on you, Gundam. I'm probably going to grab more of the second set, since that's what has Epion in it, and I do love me some Epion. But yeah, $400 booster box, and I don't think that's the height. By the way, I don't think that's the peak that it could get to. $400 is a lot of money. But if you look at how a lot of other first booster boxes for TCGs appreciate, if Gundam sticks around for the long term, if it does, potentially $400 could be very close to its bottom. That's just speculation on my part, but look at One Piece, for instance. Look at One Piece, look at any of the older boxes for some of the TCGs that are out today, and you'll see that as they age, they tend to appreciate very well, especially if they're highly remembered well. And New Type Rising, the booster box, was remembered quite well, at the very least by everyone I've talked to, besides the beta box, obviously. Besides that, Digimon, Star Wars Unlimited, Riftbound, not much to say there either. Honestly, I'm not keeping too close of an eye on any of these card games, except for Riftbound, which has been reprinting the absolute hell out of the Origins booster box and its associated products. I actually grabbed... Let me grab it. I forget what this thing's called. I couldn't get this when it first came out because it was too freaking expensive. Proving Grounds. That's what it was. The Origins booster box and its ancillary products got reprinted, so I grabbed myself a Proving Grounds. I plan on having some buddies here at some point in the near future so I can play this and talk about it on the channel. And I only grabbed that because it finally became super cheap, thanks to a reprint. So thanks. Thanks, Riftbound, for making your game affordable. I know that there's some negativity about the Origins reprint, especially from some of the more investor-minded people out there. But just like I said with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Section of this video, as long as there's still demand, as long as there's still actual genuine interest, I think making this stuff available is good. You know, I do believe that investor interest in a card game can be a good thing, and I also believe that that card game also being available for the people who want to play it can also be a good thing. I just also understand, as someone who buys and sells card games, that there is a very careful tightrope that TCG producers have to walk to satisfy both parties. And it's not an easy tightrope to walk. So for Riftbound, I have kind of the same hope that I have for Yu-Gi-Oh! In that I hope that the company behind it, which they have a name on here, right? Riot Games. Is it just Riot Games producing it? It can't be right. Anyway, well, I hope that the company that's producing it manages to find a balance between desirability and playability. Just like I hope with Yu-Gi-Oh! Just like I hope with Pokemon. I hope that Pokemon becomes available enough for the people who just want to collect and play with it, but also still retains some desirability for the investors and collectors. I understand that that's not a desire that's a hope that's easily going to be satisfied in the near future, but a man can dream, right? The last thing I want to mention about Riftbound is actually before I started recording this video, I was going through the gallery for Origins, and yeah, there is just straight up Set the Boss, the alt art for him. That just straight up looks like a naked guy in the art. It's crazy stuff. Good job, Riftbound. You're just doing that, huh? But yeah, those are my overall thoughts for a bunch of card games on the market, except for One Piece, if we're being honest. But yeah, like I said, I think it's a good idea to keep your ear to the ground, have a general understanding of where things are at and how expensive or cheap some things are and can be. And overall, a lot of cool stuff out there. Nothing's collapsing, I think. I don't think there's anything going to Super Zero. I don't think there's any new dead TCGs out there. Has been a while. Yeah, has been at least a few months since I've heard about anything dying. So that's good. That shows that there's still a lot of life and vibrancy in the market. And new stuff coming along the way, too. So that's it for now. I will stop rambling and let you guys go. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Please like, share, subscribe. The algorithm needs that, and I need the algorithm to like me. And, of course, check out the Discord, the Patreon, all that good stuff. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Ciao. Boop.